Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Powerful Man Show. I am your host, Doug Holt, with my co-host, Tim, the Powerful Man Matthews. Tim, today I want to talk about people that are too smart for their own good. And you and I see this a lot. In fact, I had a phone call with a man just yesterday, and a political leader, I'll just say that, who was involved in the movement. It is involved in the movement. Some old patterns were coming up. And what we're talking about is these old patterns that can come up for a lot of people is they think they're too smart. I don't think they're too smart. That's not said right. But what's happening for these guys is they start creating these excuses, right, for why they're not doing something. And they can actually talk themselves out of doing the thing they know they should do. So what this gentleman was talking to me about was, one of the aspects was accountability. And he was like, hey, Doug, I think what I could really use from the coaches is getting some more accountability, maybe just, give me a book or something like that I can read on my own and just, check in maybe once or twice a month. That's all I really need. And so what I was talking to him at first, I said, that's BS, right? Because what's going to happen is you're going to come up with a plan, you're going to get a book, and you're not going to execute on the book. You're not going to go ahead and do all the exercises. You're going to skip some exercises. You're like, yeah, I'll do those tomorrow. Or, yeah, I read it or I listened to it to on Audible at 2, 3x, and you're going to miss a lot of those elements, right? And then when the hard work comes, right, because you're doing it yourself, when the hard work comes, you're going to sidestep it. Other things in your life are going to come up. Kids are going to get sick. I got this thing at work. The ego is going to start playing tricks on you. And what I found over time, Tim, is that the smarter the individual is, the person that we're coaching, the more of these trap doors is what I call them. These trap doors they set for themselves. They slip easier because it's easier for them to justify what they're doing. They can rationalize all the reasons why it's good not to do an exercise, or all the reasons why they should miss a workout, or all the reasons why they shouldn't focus on the energy on their wife or have that conversation they know they need to have. And I think guys that are in leadership positions tend to be intelligent. This guy was in a leadership position at his work. He's also very well known in politics. I'll just say that. He is one of these people and one of these men, and he's made such amazing strides over the last year. It's truly awesome. But because he's so smart, it's easier for him, in my experience, to slip back into old patterns of ways of being.
Reminds me of a guy I spoke with this week who joined the program. He's a filmmaker, quite a famous filmmaker as well. And, he was afraid, quite honestly, because success came at a high price for him a few years ago. And it's almost like the pendulum swung for him. He was over here hustling, created success, but came at a high price. So swung all the way to the other side and became very spiritual and was already very intelligent. But, over here, he was very spiritual as well, which really, I'll say very spiritual. It was very in his head. Analyzing and theorizing, and you'd ask him a question. He's a great guy. It'd take him so long to answer because it'd be just going through so many different permutations. I know I can take long to answer questions sometimes, but this guy took a lot longer. So point being is he swung from over here to here, and he needed to find his middle point because there's a balance between those two.
Yeah.
Over there, it was just a hustler. There was, it was all grind and success at all costs. Over here, well, I'm not quite sure. I'm not going to take action. I've done the work because he's, logically done the work, but the big missing piece was embodiment. He hadn't embodied it. So he was too smart for his own good because he kept himself protected, and he was protected because he could stay safe through the stories he'd tell himself in his own mind.
Yeah,
which then held him back from actually being in the real world and taking the very simple approach of just getting shit done.
Yeah,
essentially. And there becomes a point when you've just got to take action, right? And the sweet spot is when the action is grounded within truth and purpose as well. Because, it's a magical formula when you start to operate from that place, like peace, power, and flow that we talk about. So yeah, I get it. I know what you're talking about when you explain the other conversation.
Yeah, well, it's really interesting, right? Because, again, I call them trap doors that we set for ourselves. They're protective mechanisms. And I believe the smarter the person is, the more protective mechanisms they've put in place and this is an egoic response, right? The ego does this because it doesn't want you to change. It wants you to be in a state of homeostasis, in the sense that, it's not true homeostasis, but in a state that you're not changing at all. And because it's safe. It says, hey, look, I know I'm safe here, right? Where I am now, even if safety means miserable, by the way, right? You can be safe and miserable, not having a really good life, not really enjoying life, and, not vibrant as you should be, right? That's still safe. And your subconscious, your ego, is going to try to keep you there. Now, this guy, he knew he needed to break free. And I was talking to him. He started rationalizing things. Well, Doug, I just bought 5 properties that are investments and all these things going on. And I was like, look, this is the same excuses you had a year ago. And you doubled down on yourself, and it changed your whole life. It changed your family history by doing so, right? You probably wouldn't be in politics if you didn't do this. Your family and relationships wouldn't be there, And he's like, oh my gosh. Because then that's when, as you say, the penny drops, but I'll just say it hit him in such a way that he was like, oh man, I'm doing it, doing it again.
Yeah.
But it's not a problem. It's just the smarter you are, your defense mechanisms are going to be stronger. They're reinforced for 30 plus years of being used and protecting you. They're going to come up, and it takes work. It takes time and effort to make sure you can do it. We often talk about, you don't go to the gym one day, get under the bench press, throw up some weight, get that big puff on your chest,
Depends who you are.
And go, I'm done. I never have to do this again. It's the same thing here. But, if you're too smart for your own good, you're rationalizing reasons not to step into your power, reasons not to go through a program like the activation method, or to do the work after you've gone through the program, right? Now, the program itself, I'll just use the activation method as an example, but we can use this with any program that's out there. The program itself is going to be transformative, right? It's going to change your life, yet you still have to do the ongoing work. You've just seen the other side. Now you need to do the alpha rise and shine in the morning, right? You need to close your day properly. You need to do the coil, which is something we teach the men. You need to be doing these things on a regular basis, or you'll slip back into old programming, right? And that's what this gentleman was doing. He didn't see it at first, right? He thought this was going to be a rational conversation and decision, which it really is, but he rationalized himself out of it, right? I'm not going to change because, and he didn't say that in his words, but I'm not going to change because I got to check on these 5 rental properties. I got to do this. I don't have enough time. All the excuses, all the men use, not enough time, not enough money, are usually the 2 biggest ones. But yet when I talked to him, I said, look, man, last time you and I spoke, you were in a situation much, much worse, not in a great situation. He was doing okay. He just wasn't full of life, right? As he could be. And he did the unrational thing, or probably real rational, was he doubled down on his growth, and that changed everything for him. Everything. And to the guys listening to this and listening, where are you rationalizing yourself, out of growth? Where are you rationalizing the reason you haven't taken that big leap yet? Where are you making up excuses and coming up with defense mechanisms? It's not the right time, the coronavirus, the economy, Bitcoin is down. I don't know, whatever it is. I'm not going to have that conversation with my wife right now because I don't know how to. I'm not ready. She's not ready. It's not the right time. The kids are too young. Kids are too old. Whatever it is, where are you making up those excuses and using your intellect to protect yourself rather than stepping in to a life you deserve?
There's a saying, isn't there? If you're in your head, you're dead.
Yeah, it's true.
And it's true on many levels, right? And this is one of the reasons why I think the guys come to us, despite having huge successes, material successes, financial successes, and, to everybody else on the outside looking like they've got the ideal life, but for them, it just doesn't land, right? And that's then leads to the first agony of emptiness, and then it's a domino from there. Quite honestly, and part of that is because they're in their head, so life isn't touching them. They're not getting filled. They're not getting filled. I'm definitely not too smart for my own good. They're not getting filled up on life, right?
Yeah.
It can become a very lonely place to live as well in that place, because for a lot of the guys that come to us anyway, the story is it starts to build a lot of guilt and shame, because why am I not enjoying this success? I should be happy. And that then obviously breeds disconnect from your wife, because there's no way you can connect to your wife in the way that she really is craving if you're not connected to yourself, because you're in your head. Theorizing and being logical and analytical and processing all the time, and there's a great shift that happens for the men that come through the activation method, because what happens for them is, instead of them operating from the head, it kind of, with the inside out living, flipping that triangle on its head, right? It also flips on its head how they operate, because the head then becomes a servant of the heart. So you're in tune with your deepest desires and purpose first. You're in tune emotionally with who you are and with what you want, and then you put your mind to use in order to act on that, right? Versus always being in your mind, cut off from your heart or your body. It's that becomes a very lonely place to be, because you don't even know the one person you're going to spend the rest of your life with, and that's yourself. We talk about becoming a stranger in your own home. You kind of become a stranger in your own home, your own body. Not, the lights are on, but nobody's there. And at that point, that's where you can become really susceptible to the second agony of anger, because then, you can feel this. It's bubbling up inside of you like a, dormant volcano ready to erupt at any point, and the kids try and come and play with you after a busy day, and you snap at them or you shout at them, push them away. Your wife comes in, what have you done that for? You snap at her, or you get guilty, which leads to the third agony of shame. You feel ashamed because, you're not being the father that you can be or want to be, or even the man, you're not enjoying the success that you think you should, which leads to the fourth agony of loneliness, and you start retreating and pulling yourself away from people because no one really gets you, partly because you don't really get yourself at that point. And the fifth agony of uncertainty, because obviously, this can't continue, right? You can't continue to stay married and have your wife, who's more than likely an amazing woman, choosing to be with you if you are always disconnected from her and never opening up to her. And likewise in your business, right? It needs to be led, especially at times like now. It needs a leader. So does your wife, so do you. And something's going to fall if it continues. So it's risky to be too smart for your own good. And this is where, the biggest shift for a lot of the men that we work with, and, this isn't intended to be a plug regardless of how you take it. If you take it that way, cool, head over to thealphareset.com. But the biggest shift is where they really start to live in a very simplistic manner, right? Life slows down. Life takes on a richness, a depth. One guy, I love this description. He said, Tim, do you know what? It's like all this time I've been living and looking at the world through this lens of black and white, and it's like the glasses have been taken off, and wow, the grass is green, the sky's blue, the trees, I never knew there were all these colors. And I don't know if it sounds a bit hypey, but that was his experience, right? Life became vibrant. It shifted from the 5 agonies to the 5 freedoms. And if you're in your head, you're dead. I'd really have you question that. Where are you cutting off that instinct? Where are you denying what you really want? Because that's another key part here, right? Because usually another symptom of this, when the guys are in the head, being too smart for their own good, they usually put obstacles between them and their happiness. Even simple things like going for a massage or going for a walk in nature or whatever it is, they struggle to fill their cup because they often either don't know what to do to fill their cup, or they've just become so used to being numb that that's just how life is for them. But yeah, it's key for you to examine that if you want to live a fulfilling life. If you want to live up to your potential, you've got to really examine that. Because yes, there's a benefit to being smart. There's also a downside where your greatest strength can become your greatest weakness.
Oh, it's so true. As you're talking about that, I'm just reflecting areas that I've done it in, right? This is a pattern I've had in the past where, you rationalize yourself out of it and you fall into, again, what I call trap doors. And this guy that I'm speaking about, just a brilliant guy. And he's coming up with all the reasons he can't have what he really wants, or reasons why, it's good enough. When you say it's good enough, it's definitely not good, because you would just be saying it's good or it's great or it's extraordinary. When it's good enough, it's a hint that it's not good. And when you start rationalizing, I can't do it because of insert the excuse. When you say because of, right, you're really saying this is my excuse and the reason I'm holding myself back. And that's what happens with a lot of men, business owners, intelligent men, and they're not ready to take the leap. And the truth is they are ready, but their ego is holding them back. And the ego seems to be stronger and more prevalent, in my experience, in men that are more intelligent. The ego just becomes stronger, becomes almost like a guardian of the mind, and which then actually stops the heart. And it's caused a lot of problems for these guys in their relationships, their ability to connect with other people. They start coming up with fantasies that what will people think of me? What will people think of me if they find out I'm a member of the Powerful Man? And things of that nature. Mm-hmm. And guess what? No one cares. No one cares what you're doing, right? They only care what you're doing when you're leading them and you are so powerful that they want to emulate what you're doing. And that's not from a place of judgment. That's from a place of desire. Totally different. Totally different.
Yeah. It's okay to be a member of the Powerful Man for now. Just give it 3 years and, it might look a bit weird then when it's a cult, but now... Oh, teasing. I totally agree. No one cares. No. The amount of stories we make up of what people think, and reality is, as long as you're happy, people really just want you to be happy.
Yeah.
People that care about you anyway. Yeah. Don't wait to live. Life is now. Live it. Life is today. And I know it may sound cliche, but it really is. And things like the coronavirus. I heard one of the golfers speaking on Sky Sports News today, and he said, "You know what? I'm not going to be picking up a golf club for 2 or 3 weeks, because now it's time for me to be with my family and my kids. It's times like this that really remind me of what's important in life. And golf, I love it. Right now, not a priority for me." And this was a guy that was playing at the Masters that got cancelled. I thought, wow, it's so true. You never realize, you never know what's around the corner. And, how would you... I don't want to paint that morbid picture, in fact, but point being is, don't delay your happiness, because life is today, and it can be in the simplest of things, like giving yourself permission to go for a walk, or giving yourself permission to have a massage, rather than say, "Oh, I'll get to that when," or "I'll gift myself that when," or no, you don't need to. In order for the people around you, the people that you love, to be their happiest, your cup has got to overflow into them, into their cup. You can't pour from a cup that's always been emptied. It's just not possible. It's not sustainable for anything in your life, your health, your business, your family. It'll crumble. It's like trying to build a house on sand. It just sinks.
It's true. Wow. Well, on that note, it's 10:30 in the morning on a Friday here on the West Coast.
I'm going to have a beer. It's 10:30 on a Friday.
I'm going to go actually hang out with my family. So guys, listening to this, if you relate to us in any way and you're looking for a proven system that other men just like you have gone through, that's allowed them to reignite passion in their relationships, grow their businesses, and really get to know themselves and really break free of the bonds, head over to thealphareset.com. That's thealphareset.com, where you can get some more trainings from Tim himself, and also get on a call with a coach and just see if it's the right fit for you. Until then, guys, be healthy, be safe, and we'll see you next time on The Powerful Man Show.